The very last part of section 2 is talking about converting from degrees to degrees, minutes, seconds. Now, we are not going to do a lot with this information for this class, but I did want to make sure you know how to do these conversions because you might see a question like this on a standardized test. And you will see this in pre-calc next year. So we all know what degrees are. We've been talking about those. And then when we are talking about the minute second, a minute is defined by being 1/60th of a degree. And then we use this little hash mark right here, or a apostrophe, if you want to call it, to indicate that we're talking about a minute. And then for the seconds, that is defined as 1/60th of a minute. Okay, and we are using a double slash for that to indicate that we're talking about seconds. Okay. Now we want to again think of it as a ratio. So even though I have an equal sign here, we can also think of it as a fraction, and we have to make the fraction so we are canceling out labels. So if we are going to go from our degrees, minutes, seconds just into degrees, this is the process that we are going to work through. So this 210 is just going to be a part of our answer. So we're going to take whatever that degree is and we're just going to start with it. And then we're going to add the conversion of our minutes back to degrees. So to change 16 minutes to degrees, we're going to take our minutes times this ratio up here. So times 1/60 minutes. So again, these labels are canceling it out. Okay. And then we're going to add the ratio, the conversion ratio for changing the seconds into degrees. Okay, so again, to do that, we are going to take our seconds, we're going to multiply to change it to minutes. So again, that's this 1/60th. And then to change our minutes back to degrees, we're going back and using this. Okay, and then we're just adding each of those sections together. Okay. Now, we're not going to do all those calculations by hand. We're just going to use our calculators to help us. So I'm going to show you how to type this into your calculator so you can just go right to your answer. Okay. So again, if you grab your calculator, so I'm just going to start with this part. So 210 plus, and then 16, and then I'm going to use the parenthesis, and I'm going to put this fraction in, so 1 divided by 60. And then we're back to adding, so 47, and then times 1 divided by 60. Again, I'm putting that in parentheses, and then I need a second set of parentheses for the next 1/60th. Okay. And then we're just going to press enter. Okay. And we're going to round to the nearest hundredth because that's what the directions are telling us. So this is how we ended up with that answer. Now to go the opposite direction, so we're changing from degrees into degrees, minutes, seconds. Okay. So to start with, whatever this whole number is, that's just going to be your degree. So if this was a 27, then we would be starting with 27. Okay. Now to get your minutes, we're going to take this part of the decimal, and we are going to convert that part of the degree into minutes. Okay, now again, since this represents a degree, when I'm looking at this ratio right here, I have to flip it so that the degree is in the denominator, so those labels cancel each other out. So this time we're going to multiply by the 60 minutes over the degree. Our degree symbols cancel. So really we're just taking this times 60. And again, we're doing that right on the calculator. So 629 times 60. So that's where this 37.74 is coming from. Okay. So now, since we need the seconds, we're going to take this decimal in our minute, and we're going to convert that into seconds. Okay, and again, we are still using this ratio, but since this represents that minute, we have to put the 1 in the denominator again. Okay, so that's where this part is coming from. So again, these labels cancel out, and really I'm just taking this point .74 times 60, and that is giving me this. So that's going to be the seconds, and we're just going to round that to the nearest whole number. Okay? So this is our degrees. This is how we would change it into degrees, minutes, seconds. Okay? And again, if we're trying to think when would we ever use this, think about your latitude and longitude from geography. Those are in degrees, minutes, seconds. So this is kind of how a part of how your GPS works and how a lot of navigational systems work, especially with planes and boats. Okay. All right, so I'm going to do one more practice of each, and then you guys can do the other practice, and I will have the answers posted in the Google Classroom. Okay. All right, so first one, we are changing from the degrees, minutes, seconds into degrees. So I'm just going to start by taking this, so that 40, and then we're adding it to the conversion of changing this to degrees. So I am taking 10 times, and I'm going to put this in parentheses, 1 over 60. Okay. And then we are adding that to our seconds converted to degrees. So when we do that, we're using this first ratio to convert it to minutes, and then the second ratio to convert it to degrees. Okay. And again, we're just going to type that all into our calculator at once. All right, so to do that, we do 40 plus 10, and then in parentheses, 1 divided by 60, plus 25, and then our two fractions. So 1 divided by 60, make sure you're closing your parenthesis, and then another 1 divided by 60. Okay, and we are rounding to the nearest hundredth, so our answer for this one would be 40.17 degrees. And then now to do it the opposite way, so we are changing from degrees back into degrees, minutes, seconds. Okay. So I'm going to start writing my answer down here. So this number, that 40, that's just my degree. And then I'm going to take the decimal, so that 0.32, and we're taking it times the ratio. Now remember, I have the degree, so the degree has to go on the bottom, so we're using this one. So the 1 has to go on the bottom, so times 60 over 1. So again, on the calculator, that really just means that I'm doing 0.32 times 60, so that's 19.2. Okay, so the 19, that's my minute, so 19, and then I put that little symbol next to it to show that I'm talking about minutes. And then we take this decimal, whatever that is, so the 0.2, and then we have to convert that to seconds. So again, we're taking the 60 over 1 again. So on the calculator, 0.2 times 60 is 12. And if you get a decimal here, again, we're just going to round it to the nearest whole number for that part. Okay. So then that's going to be the seconds. So 12, and then I need 2 of those little dashes. So 40 degrees, 19 minutes, 12 seconds would be our final answer for this one. Okay. And that is going to conclude section 2.